Sassy Fit Queens. How y'all doing today? Today is another segment of Sassy Fitness Empowerment Fridays where I provide you with healthy tips and tricks that you can use in your day-to-day lives. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, and I am going to have a little bit of a discussion. And I have a topic called What is Feeding Your Faith? And I have a special guest with me today who believes that there can be a definite struggle with feeding your faith if you're not careful. And she wants to let listeners know and watchers what feeding your faith can look like in a healthy way. Kesha Morgan is a native of Florida, Orlando, Florida to be exact, and she has a brand and her own podcast called Her Heels, where she forms a place for women to focus on their career choices and tell others about where they started and their journeys to entrepreneurship. Let's all formally meet Miss Kesha Morgan. Hey girl, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I am absolutely awesome. I mean, it's only been raining for like 5 days straight. And we only have like so much drama going on in the world, but other than that, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I will have to say all caps indeed, because as you mentioned, I am a native to Florida, so off bat, I already know we're in our hurricane season.
Yes.
And then with all the interesting things that's going on, like you said, feeding our faith is what we need to focus more on.
Yes, I can absolutely agree with you. And it, especially in this time, you know, I did a podcast episode last week where, you know, I had to let, you know, we had to talk about the elephant that was in the room, you know, and it's just one of those things where it's a sad reality, it's a harsh reality, but it's one that is existing. And I know you can relate to this, that without faith it's close to impossible to overcome.
It's insanity, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have to say on those things?
Yeah, so, you know, listeners might have also heard starving your fear and feeding your faith, which, as we just mentioned, in these trying times, instead of, you know, focusing on the media and all the true, unfortunately, but exaggeration behind what's going on, we still have to feed into our faith. And feeding into my faith, for me, what that means is I'm a believer, so I do believe in God, and I do believe in his son, Jesus Christ. So to me, you know, feeding my faith is focusing my mind, everything, my mind, my body, my soul, absolutely on him, which is, you know, Jesus Christ, our Savior. And so feeding your faith looks like this. So I have a scripture that I quoted. It's
do share.
It's in John it's John 14:26, and it says, Jesus says, "But the Counselor, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you." So what this means is God has supplied the very person that will feed us. The Holy Spirit is willing to teach us. We just have to be willing to be taught by him. So in these times, yeah, it's scary and we want to keep aware of what's going on. But after reading and listening to the news, all the negativity, why not turn your nose and your mind, your heart, your soul into, like, for me, it's the Bible. You know, just, you know, there are comforting chapters I like to read in the Bible, or just verses that I like to read. And I agree. I think, you know, when you read through those verses, it is a way of the Holy Spirit reminding me of what's been promised if I just keep having faith. So to me, that's what, you know, feeding my faith is, versus when you're starving your fear, meaning after acknowledging the more drama that's going on, and you just turn the other cheek to the Holy Spirit, you know, Jesus Christ, our Savior, you kind of forget about what's going on, and you're able to still focus on those dreams you might have. You're just able to still be hopeful for the future. Because, if we kept feeding our fear, then, you and I wouldn't be here.
Exactly. Girl, don't I know it?
Right. So, those are just examples of what, feeding your faith is.
That's awesome, because when you spoke about we wouldn't be where we are today, I definitely agree with that, because I was on an episode of your podcast once before, and I was talking, you asked me like, how did you get the courage to write a book, and how did you get the courage to do what you're doing with fitness and helping other people? And I said I used to be extremely shy. Like, I was so afraid to do anything, because I had that fear of if I would be good enough, if I would be accepted, if people would gravitate towards me. And a lot of times we have these things that we deal with when we're younger that kind of shape our minds to kind of be afraid. And if we are constantly heard negative things or told negative things, and we grow up to believe those things. And although I was very shy and very fearful, it was just a switch in my mind that I was like, you know what? I'm scared, but in order for me to prosper, like, I think for me what it was is watching other people who are afraid and acting off of that fear versus the faith aspect of it. Like, they're acting on the fear like, oh, well, I'm too scared to do this and I'm not going to do it. And then I watch how either they deteriorate or they don't become anything, or their motivation is lacking and they don't go as far as they potentially could have had they overcome that fear or did not allow that fear to set in. And so just me being the observant person that I am, and watching people, like, I'm a people watcher, and I'm a personality watcher and a pattern watcher. So if I pay attention to patterns and I see how if you do X and it gets you to Y, and Y isn't really a good result, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to do something different. So although I'm very much an introvert, which a lot of people find hard to believe. I don't know why, but they do.
I actually understand you.
Yeah.
I call myself a contained extrovert.
Yeah. And I don't even consider myself an extrovert at all. Like, I am good at mingling. I'm good at coping with being around people, but like, I get anxiety when I'm around a lot of people, like crowds. Like, I've never been to a concert. I would like to go to one, but it's just that when it's that many people, I cringe. You know what I'm saying? Like, going to the grocery store for me, like, I'm in and out. Like, I'm racing to get in and out. Like, I can't be in there for too long. So there's a lot of fear overcoming that I've had to do just to kind of enjoy life, because I could easily just sit in my house and be bored all day and not do anything, because my dad, I'm a lot like my dad. My dad is an introvert, and he has no problem staying home all day if he's not working, of course, because he does work, and he works hard. He works a lot of hours, but whenever he's off, I don't see him going out doing fun things. Like, most of the time he's home on his tablet, watching TV, watching the news, watching politics, and that's what he does. And for me, although it's very easy for me to be that way, I know that I want so much more out of life. I want so much more for myself, and I know in order to get there, I have to make myself uncomfortable and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because a lot of things like this podcast and this YouTube channel and everything that I'm doing, I had to step out of my comfort zone to do that, and that just goes along the line of not allowing your fear to control you.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's very easy to do.
Yeah, it's why is it so easy for us to worry?
Well, I think I think the reason that it's so easy for people to worry is because a lot of people are comfortable with being where they are. And if they know that it's going to take an extra step of uncomfortability for them to do something different, and they're comfortable where they are, it's easy for them to just be like,
yeah,
I'm comfortable over here, so I don't really know what's on the other side of the fence, and I know what's over here, then I'm just gonna stay over here. And that falls under like complacency as well. And I'm a firm believer that you really can't grow being comfortable.
No, it's very true. I heard a quote. It's not really a quote, but someone told me, he said to get used to being uncomfortable. He told me to stay uncomfortable in everything that I do. Yes. He's passed away now, rest his soul. But he said, just stay uncomfortable in everything that you do.
Yeah.
And he's funny because like he and his wife, they were married for like, I think he said 30 something years. And he was like, I'm still uncomfortable with my wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I'm like, you guys have been together. And I remember this very day we were in the gym, and he was like, yeah, because he used to be like my trainer. And he was like, yeah, I'm still uncomfortable with my wife. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, just stay uncomfortable forever.
And that's the thing, you're always learning your spouse too, because just like you're forever evolving, if you're involved with someone else, they're forever evolving.
Right.
So you're not going to be, if you get comfortable, that means you've become complacent. Because when you're in a relationship, whether you're married, dating, you're a mother, father, whatever, you're constantly going to be trying to learn that person. I mean, kids go through phases. I have 2 of them. So you have infancy, and then you have toddler, and then you have school age, and then you have teenage, and then you have young adult. And all of those are different phases that those kids go through, and they all have different behaviors in each phase.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be comfortable as a parent because you're always going to be trying to learn your child. And then when they become teenagers, they're extra secretive because they don't want to tell you anything because they feel like you're all in their business. So again, it's uncomfortable. Wow. So if it's that way with a child, and it's that way with an infant and a teenager who came from you, of course it's going to be like that with a spouse or a boyfriend or whatever, because as you age, you evolve. You know? And if you are truly in that relationship, you're going to have to learn that person, and it's not always a comfortable thing. You're going to need to talk about things that are not comfortable. You're going to need to set boundaries that may not be comfortable to set, but they need to be set. So, I mean, I talk a lot about boundaries, and
I'm a big believer of boundaries. I think all the things we're mentioning is a form of feeding your faith.
Yes, it really is. It really is.
Feeding your faith, staying positive.
Yeah, and you have to, like, a lot of that worry and fear comes from the unknown. Because none of us are psychics. None of us know what's going to happen from second to minute to hour to day to week to month to year. None of us know. And because we don't know how an action we take is going to take effect.
Right.
That's a lot of time where that fear is setting. It's like, oh man, okay, if I say this, we have in our mind what may happen or may not happen, but we don't know which one it's going to be. And that's where that fear comes from. If I go audition for this part, either I'm going to get it or I'm not going to get it, but we don't know which one it's going to be. And the only way to really and truly overcome that fear is to just get out there and try it.
Right.
And just, I mean, I have a fear of speaking in large crowds, but people don't know that because I go in there with a mindset, okay, I'm scared, my hands are shaking, but I'm just going to put on my best effort and pray that they like it. And if they don't, I'll just work on getting better next time. Like, if you always have a plan of how you're going to execute or improve better, if that's something that you want to do, then you will be fine. Because a lot of people, I've heard no so many times, but I didn't let that stop me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there have been, I remember when I was in 6th grade and I tried out for the basketball team, and I was extremely shy. I was afraid. I played really good, I thought. You know, I played with boys and stuff like that, and I was just really afraid. I didn't know if I would make the team. And I remember when my coach picked the team and I didn't see my name on the list, and I immediately shut down, and I was like, oh my gosh, did I not make the team? I thought I made the team. My coach told me that I was good, and I almost didn't go to practice, but I was like, I brought my clothes, I'm gonna go, and worst case scenario, he'll tell me, I'm sorry, you know, you didn't make it, you gotta go home, but I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And I went, and my coach told me that he made a mistake, that he meant to put my name on there, and he made a mistake.
Yeah.
So imagine if I didn't go, because I was fearful, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't make the team. You know, I would have never gotten to hear that from my coach, that you made the team, I just made a mistake on the sheet or whatever. Sorry, forgive me for that, because it's a lot of emotions that goes into really wanting something and then seeing you didn't make it. So you know, that's just like one example, but I could give a million of things that, you know, you try. When you get in a relationship, that's a risk.
It really is.
when you give birth, that's a risk.
Yeah. Haven't done that yet, but based on my friends with, you know, children, they say the body naturally knows, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, it does. It's like each time that I was pregnant, I knew before I missed my cycle. Like, I knew I was pregnant already, because I just felt different.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know what this differentness is. I wasn't sick. I wasn't one of those like sick pregnant people, but it just, something wasn't right, and I'm like, something ain't right, you know. So you definitely know, but that's a risk in itself, because there are women who lose their lives from childbirth.
Wow.
So everything you do in life is a risk. When you start a business, that's a risk, because you don't know if it's going to prosper, but how are you to know unless you try?
Right.
You know, when you get into a relationship, when you have kids, when you become a parent, when you become a teacher, or when you go for a job interview, you don't know what the outcome of anything is going to be. You don't.
Very true.
If you really sit back and think, nobody knows the outcome of anything. You can study for weeks, for months for an exam, and you still can come out and not pass that exam. Just because you study for weeks and months doesn't mean you're going to pass.
And with that example, they fed their fear. Yeah. Because exactly, that was a good example.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying, like, you just don't know the outcome, so you might as well just react in fear. I do a lot of things out of fear, because I know in order for me, like, I have very, very high goals for myself. I'm always reaching for the stars, and I don't know if I'm gonna reach all the goals I set, but I'm still gonna set them. Shoot, I said I'm giving myself until 150 years old before I die. I don't know if I'm gonna make it there, but shoot, that's a goal. Yeah. You know, and I'm gonna take the best steps that I can to make it there. If nobody don't come take me out of here before then. Just don't put no gun to my head or nothing like that.
Oh Lord, no.
Yeah, don't do that. But
you're Team Sassy Fit, so I don't know. You might be able to take them out.
So I mean, you just never know, and I believe that that is very important to feed your faith. If you feel something deep down in your soul, that is something that you want to accomplish, and you have the strong faith that you can accomplish it, tell yourself you're gonna accomplish it. Like, I am big on words. Like, I love Proverbs and I love Psalms when it comes to scriptures in the Bible. Like,
they're everyday readings.
Yes, it's so uplifting. It is so uplifting, and words have so much power.
They do.
I told my boyfriend today, he was taking his final certification exam. He took one earlier this year, right before the pandemic, and that one was like a certification for him to get promoted or whatever in his field. And I said to him, I said, let's pray. I said, you got this. I said, go. I said, you already passed. I said, just go on and get that paper.
I love it. You already passed.
And bring it home. And guess what he did? He brought the paper home.
He passed, yes.
And today he took an even more, a tougher exam. And this exam, certification is equivalent to a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
He's been studying hard. He was really nervous about it. Guess what I told him this morning? You already passed.
Yes.
Go ahead and send me the text message because I'm going to a meeting.
Right.
Go ahead and send me that text message that you passed. And guess what?
He passed.
When I was done with my meeting,
yes,
he said, your prayers work, boo, I passed. I said,
yes, faith.
And right. And you know what I said? I didn't say, I think you're going to do good. You've been studying for a long time. I think you're going to do. I said, you already passed.
Yes.
I said a prayer and I believed in it.
Yes.
And I said, Lord, we believe that your will is possible and that he passed this test.
Right.
And that he's going to remember whatever he studied.
Right.
Words have power, girl.
Yes, they do. Hey, a great book such as the Bible says that all the time. That's why I'm very careful with what I say, because the tongue has power.
Yes, it really does. You can condemn yourself and you can bless yourself by the things that you say.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
All that, like you said, is like feeding the faith. Because, you know, if you wake up, like, what is that one thing? A man thinketh,
so is he. Yep. Yeah. Whatever man thinks, so is he.
Right.
Whatever you think of yourself is who you are.
Right. So, or that's what you manifest yourself to be.
Right.
Right. So, look, I think I'm Beyonce. I got $1 billion in my bank account.
I tell people all the time, I was like, I'm 36 years old. I will be 40 in 4 more years, and I am going to be a billionaire. I said, y'all laughing?
Oh, Team Sassy Fit finna be a billionaire, yes.
Don't laugh when them zeros come popping up in my bank account.
Right, yes.
Because I am claiming it. Yes. I've been claiming prosperity for years, and I'm going to keep claiming it until I receive it. Because I believe that I am worth that. And a lot of times, you know, when it comes down to character and someone's looks and things of that nature, somebody can be the most beautiful person in the world and they could feel like the most ugliest person.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to think that I was ugly. Like, I did not have no self-esteem. I used to walk around with my head hung low. And when people used to compliment me and say, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, I'd be like, really? And even now today, I don't think I'm ugly, but when people compliment me in certain ways, I'm like, wow, thank you, you know, because it's whatever you believe yourself to be, you behave in that manner.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of times, even with men, you will have a man mistreat a woman because he feels less than or he feels inferior, rather than being a team player with the woman in his life and helping to elevate her, because she in turn will elevate him because he feels low on himself. He tries to bring her down to the way he feels.
Right.
You know, and that's why it's important to have self-affirmations and build yourself up, because if you wait for someone else to do it for you, it's never going to be enough, because everybody in this world is not going to compliment you, and you're going to have people who are going to tear you down. So you're going to need to believe within yourself that you are somebody.
Yeah.
I believe that people are not going to only be referencing Beyonce, they're going to be referencing Miss Sassy Fit, because Miss Sassy Fit is on that level with Beyonce.
Yeah. Well, I'm in her bank account.
I know that's right.
I'm in her bank account. And I wrote me out $1 million check. I wrote it, and I just have it in my, it's in a journal. I have a manifestation journal that I had created. And so that $1 million check that I wrote, it's just sitting there because I believe it's gonna happen. I mean, I can feel it. You ever felt like you were meant for something great?
Oh yeah, I feel it every day, girl, every day.
But that's a sense is from God, or whatever you believe, the universe. That's a sense from Him. So. I'm sorry. Remember that situation I told you? She's coming in now. Should I text her?
That's fine. That's
okay.
Fine. But you know what else is funny though? You know, you're gonna laugh when I say this. I'm gonna say that. Well, I've been saying that my $1 billion is in my bank account already. I just got to find the account number. Like, I lost the account number. The money's there.
Yes, there.
I just got to find account number.
Oh, yeah, no, it's there.
Once I figure out that account number, and I can withdraw it out of the ATM.
It's the current bank account, sis.
It's the current bank account.
You know, it's a lot of money, so the bank don't want to let it out yet, but it's there.
It's there.
It's the current bank account.
It's the current bank account. And I'm like, God, I gotta remember my PIN number so I can go to the ATM and withdraw it. But it's there. There's a delay going on, so they don't know that you need that money yet, but it's there. It's there.
Yes.
It's there. It's within my reach. I just gotta, figure out the PIN number. They probably gonna make me reset it like 5 times and try to identify who I am. You know how to think.
Answer those questions that you created a year ago with the bank. Yeah, it's there. It's there, sis. Trust me.
Exactly.
It's in the current bank.
So that's basically, that's how I think, because that's how people prosper. People who have made it to becoming millionaires, billionaires, and all they did something out of fear. Yeah. And all it took was one person to believe in them. Right. That one special person to believe in them. Because I promise you, my book that I wrote, I have been telling everybody, it's going to be a movie. Tyler Perry, Oprah, somebody is going to get a hold of my book. Right. And we're going to make a movie on it. And people going to be watching it in the big screen in the movie theater. Not on Netflix. I mean, Netflix is good. But my movie is going to be on the big screen. And then it's going to go to Netflix.
I was going to say, what about Lifetime?
That's Lifetime too. Hey, all of that. Whatever works. But my book is going to be on the big screen. So, and I'm speaking that because I feel it. Like, anytime I see like a movie because like I said, I dream big all the time, and I have these visions. It's like I can see it, I can feel it, I can taste it. It's just slightly out of my reach, but I'm like almost there, And when I see certain movies that are laid out in the way that my mind thinks my movie is supposed to be, I'm like, see that?
Like that confirmation.
Yeah. So it's just operating in faith. It's just believing in yourself. It's that simple. It's really that simple.
And I believe people need to make sure they're I guess a form of believing in self is just good enough, but like, what are some things that people are doing to to make sure that they're believing in self? Like, for me, like, you said you read the book of Proverbs, I do. I love it. It's like, even though the Bible has been it's been rewritten so many times, and but it still relates to today. Reading the book of Proverbs is how I learned that God is humorous. I'm like, oh my God, this man is funny. Like, I don't even know if he's a man. He's an energy, right? He's an energy. But I'm like, yo, this energy is funny. Yeah. Because, there are some things in there that it says, and I'm just like, did this thing just say inherit wind?
I know, right?
Right. I'm like, what? And so, those are just things that I do. Like, I read the book of Proverbs, or I just, like I said, I had certain verses that I like to read, because just what's going on today is so stressful, and I don't say anything about it. I haven't made any posts about it. It's unfortunate that we lost another, Black man, but
yes, it is horrible.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate we had to see it the way it happened too.
Yeah, that I couldn't stomach it. I got through like maybe 3 to 5 seconds, and I was just like, I can't. Yeah. Because I'm very much an empath, and I can literally feel other people and where they are, and I felt like I was suffocating, and the guy wasn't even on my neck.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick to my stomach. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The fact that we are treated the way we are treated. Mm-hmm. You know, I was in the military, and and one of the units I was in, I was the only black female in my unit when I first got there. So you can imagine the way that I was treated, and I was labeled
the only fair-skinned black female at that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was labeled the angry black woman because, heaven forbid, I talk with my hands. I have a problem. I want to fight. I'm mad. You know, heaven forbid I show any type of, you know, as you can see right now, like, I'm very expressive when I talk, mm-hmm. but that doesn't mean that I'm angry, and that doesn't mean that I want to fight you, you know, because my facial expressions are a certain way, or if I'm quiet and I just act in silence, that, oh, what is she thinking? Mm-hmm. Is she angry? What's wrong with her? Why does there have to be something wrong with me?
Right.
Why? And, you know, why do I have to be a target as the only black female and, you know, labeled as incompetent and I can't do this or that, when you haven't even given me the opportunity to show you what I'm able to do? But you know what? The way I operate is I work by action and not words. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince you in my words, my worth. You're going to see it, because I'm just going to do what I do. And unless you're blind, you're going to see it. And it's unfortunate that we have to work so hard and be held down from being elevated because of others feeling intimidated by who we are because of how we look.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
There's a lot I could say about that.
Say it, girl, say it.
Well, I'm thinking, I love how we went from like, all this wraps into feeding faith and fear, you know? I love how we just transitioned. Well, I was gonna ask, like, I'm trying to make sure I say this right.
There is no right, just say it.
well, I'm thinking as a black culture,
right?
How could we better? Do you think we can change this? How could we help each other? Like, you know, everybody's protesting across the world,
right?
Or I don't even know if it's across the world. Maybe it is. I know, like, I call her my sister in Wales. I know she's, you know, she did Blackout Tuesday. In support of what happened here. But I don't know, how could we help each other? How could blacks show more support? Because I've heard from I hear from a lot of blacks, to be honest, and it's sad. You and I, we're supporting each other. You know, you've been on my podcast. I'm on yours now. And you gave me a sanctified autographed book. So
thank you.
You remember you sent it out to me?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. But I have also heard blacks say that black people don't support black people, and it hurts because I have seen it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
And so I'm like, how can we better assist each other then? Like, right. I think
that's a very valid question. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's fine.
The money is how we're going to do, because I've heard so many things, but I've witnessed this for myself. So if you look at the Asian culture, right? They support each other. They have restaurants, they have nail salons, and they all work together collectively, and they all pour into their community however way they can. Other cultures, Spanish cultures to be specific, they are, I watch how supportive they are, how they look out for one another. Like when you watch certain movies, you'll see how the mobs, what culture is that?
Italian? I'm not sure.
Italian.
Don't want to sound like racist, but that's what they.
Well, yeah. It is. And then you just, you look at how they come together, right? And how they support each other and stuff like that. And we as a black community, oftentimes, because we've been belittled and put down and all these things, a lot of times we build up animosities towards each other, which doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, this is like all that stuff that happened to us in the past and is still happening is the reason why we should come together more. You know, I mean, if you feel that your Black brother or sister is not very professional in what they do, or you feel like I can't work with them because, you know, that's why I can't support my people, because they can't be on time, they can't be this, they can't be that. Help them. If you're one that are good at being timely and being professional, give them your expertise. Help them out. I do it all the time. I'm mentoring someone right now. You know, it's not about how far up I can get over you. It's about coming together so that we all can rise to the top. Because I will say it all. I say it now and I'll say it forever. When I win, we win. Right. You know what I'm saying? So if we know that there's something that a Black company has, like you, for instance, you have your podcast and you have people coming on there and you're having, you know, your empowerment movement that you're doing. Why not support that? Why not bring people aboard? Me, I have my fitness coaching business, my virtual fitness classes and things like that, and I have my handmade skincare products. Why not have Black people, instead of going to Bath and Body Works or going to Victoria's Secret or wherever, why not buy from a Black owner who has those products that's good for your skin? Very true. I mean, the honey pot that makes feminine products, it's owned by a Black woman. She's a Black woman. Yes. Why not support that? The mom and pop restaurants that we like to eat at, why not support them? You know what I'm saying? They and we have there's one, Dejen Eats. She's a vegan restaurant, Caribbean style food. I'll eat that all day because I love vegan food. Yes. You know, and there's so, like, you have to, I feel like we need to put the extra work and the extra time in to find out what our people are capable of doing and how we can support them and pour our money into our people. And it's nothing against any other culture whatsoever. It's just that we don't support enough of our own. Break that, I don't know if it's a curse, but just break that stigma that I've heard of, I've seen people post it on social media and stuff where, that's why I don't support my people. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it's so disheartening to hear things like that. And then, like, even when we go out in public sometimes, I've witnessed, some things, and people be like, see, why we got embarrassed? They're embarrassing us by the way that they're behaving or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, just come together. Let's fix our mindset. And that's where it starts. It's a whole, the mind. It's a whole mindset. That's what I meant to say in the very beginning, but I forgot because I didn't write it down on my notes. It's okay. But I meant to say, feeding your faith is like a mindset game. It is. It's like, do I want to be negative or do I want to be positive? And so just me thinking of negative things is exhausting. Yeah. Right. So when I think more positive, I'm happy. Exactly. And you know what's funny? I'm very bubbly, and I've always been very bubbly, and like that's just my personality. And when I was younger and I got picked on a lot, I kind of just, the bubbliness kind of faded because I was just on guard at that point. So I was afraid to show who I really was. And now that I have evolved into the person that I am today, I feel like if I'm too much for you, if my bubbliness is too much for you, then you could go get the step in. Yeah. Take your shoes off, find some little rocks and go kick them. That way you can keep your sour face on, because I'm not gonna let no one dim my light because you want to be like sour faced. Or you're not dimming your light for no one, right? Nobody. Yes. For what? I had to tell somebody that. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna dim my light for you. Right. That part. Yes. And the thing of it is a lot of people have the misconception, at least for me, and I don't know, I think a lot of times it's because of the way I look, and it's unfortunate, but a lot of times people have that misconception that because one, I look the way I do, and two, I'm bubbly, that I'm dumb, I don't know much, and that I'm unprofessional. And that is unfortunate, because when it comes to business, I am very professional.
Girl, you are Team Sissy Sassy Fit. I learned some things from you too.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes. And so I just feel like it's unfortunate that you can't have a happy spirit and you can't have a bubbly personality and look like this and be taken seriously. I always feel like I have to prove myself that much more because of how I look and my personality. And it's not fair. And I dealt with that in the military, because the first thing people do is they look at how I look and they're like, oh, she's the ditzy girl, or she's the blonde, this, that, and the third. And then when I start speaking, they're like, oh.
Yeah, very shocked.
Yeah. And I'm like, why is it that at first glance, you might see me smiling and being bubbly? That's my personality. That doesn't take away from the fact that I'm very professional. I'm very intelligent. I know my stuff. And I will put you in your place if I need to.
Yeah.
That part. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that a lot of times we always have to find ourselves, proving ourselves. And at this point in my life, I don't have nothing to prove to anybody but myself.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the older I've become, what was I going to say? I'm so sorry. I've been having these little spells.
Girl, you are not alone. I have them a lot.
Right. Like, I cannot believe this just happened.
Yeah.
It just walked in and walked right out.
Hey, it just showed us that we're getting, a little seasoned, but that's okay.
Wiser.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say, as I've become older, and you said not dimming our lights for others. And so, yes, what that have taught me at 34, what that have taught me is, like, you're absolutely right. Staying away, starving that fear, and feeding your faith does require not worrying about, like, what others think. I feel like as long as we are feeding our faith, whether it's hanging around positive people or reading Proverbs on a daily basis, or whatever it is that's allowing us to gain more confidence and finding what we stand for. Oh my God, it happened again, Chiquita.
It's okay, girl. I'm sure it will come back, but I understand. Yes. Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. Like, you definitely have to do your due diligence.
Yes.
To seek what is.
Oh, I was gonna say, you'll start being okay with, like, for instance, your book was amazing. I learned so much. Like, I can't believe you put that much in a book. I was like, she wasn't afraid. Like, very impressive. Like, you did such a good job. And I loved the vulnerability. Like, that's what I loved the most. And then getting to know you, getting to know you, you're an absolute amazing person. So, the fact that, seriously, like, reading the book showed a lot of vulnerability. Like, it exposed a lot. But I love people. I love humans' stories. I love like where they've come from, what they were doing back then, who they are now, what got them there. Like, I want to be all up in your business. I love it.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, when we feed our faith and starve our fear, we start to become comfortable with people being okay. Well, okay, we start to become comfortable with what people might think of us. Like you said, people look at you and they're like, oh, she's fit, she's beautiful, she probably don't know nothing. And then you show them, based on your knowledge and experience and whatever it is to get you to, the expert in that field, they get the hush mouth. So long story short, long story short though, is feeding your faith it gives you a confidence of being okay with what people think. Everybody in the world is entitled to their own opinions, but me, Kesha S Morgan,
yes,
and I do not, I value people's opinions. I really do. Mm-hmm. And then I can still take it like, okay,
right,
that's your opinion,
right?
And it's not arrogancy. It's based on like what I know. Yeah, it's confidence. Like, especially if I'm experienced in something, like if we're experienced in the same thing, and this is what you're telling me based on your experience, and I'm telling you based on my experience and test results from myself, right. You are just entitled to your opinion.
Right,
you know?
At that point. And everybody is. I tell people, the thing that I don't do, I refuse, is to argue with people and their opinions. Right. Because everybody and their mama, daddy, sister, brother has an opinion.
Correct.
And so if I disagree and I'm firm with what I feel, I will say very kindly, and you are entitled to your opinion. Mm-hmm. And I leave it at that.
Right.
There's nothing else to say, because you have your stance, I have my stance. We can agree to disagree and move forward. Right. Like, that's just my thing. Like, you can't control people's opinions. You can't control people's thoughts. People are gonna do what they want to do. I mean, look at what's going on in the world today. You don't think that man wanted to do what he did, and he accomplished it? You know what I'm saying? And he had help too. It don't make it right.
Right.
But we couldn't. What if we would have tried to jump in? We would have got hurt too.
Right.
So it just goes to show you that you really can't control no one but yourself. And being that you can't control anyone but yourself, that's where you need to pour the majority of your energy into, is yourself. Unless you have little kids, you pour some of that energy into them too, so that you can mold them to be who they need to be, and teach them also how to pour into themselves. Because I teach my boys that all the time. Mm-hmm. If my son, my youngest son, bless his heart, he loved to stare in the mirror. He said, "Mommy, I'm so handsome." I said, "Yes, you are."
Yeah.
And I allow him to do that because I let him know, like, he's not full of himself. He has some insecurities. So I allow him to look in the mirror and say, "Mommy, I love how I look. Right. I'm glad that you love the way you look."
He's still growing.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people that pick on him because he's little for his age, and that's an insecurity for him, because although he's 10, he could pass for a 6-year-old, and he doesn't like that. So I let him pour into himself his own self-affirmations to make himself feel good about him. Mm-hmm. And that way, when other people try to tear him down, he's like, I said I'm handsome. My mommy agreed with me, so I'm handsome.
Yes.
And that may be little, but it could be something even bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to, as an individual, if you weren't taught that as a child to pour into yourself, you have to figure out how to do that. And that comes with self-love. You need to love yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to figure out what it is about you that you absolutely love.
Yeah.
And harp on it. Find what it is that you absolutely don't focus on what you don't like, because it's very easy to pick up.
It's
stuff
so easy to default to the negative.
Yes. But that's what you want to try to condition yourself not to do. And it's not easy, again, touching on that fear factor. It's not easy. You may be afraid to do it, but once you accomplish it, anything with practice becomes a habit. And the more you do it, the easier it'll get, and it'll be second nature to you after a while.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Do you think that, because how we were saying that, how I was saying that, I've heard from people when they say, "Oh, my people don't support," like I hear Black people say, Black people don't support Black people, or crazy stuff like that. But my question is, do you think, based on feeding our faith, do you think Blacks and everyone protesting is a new form of feeding the faith? Not a new form, but do you think it's like feeding their faith, that it'll cause some type of change in the system? Because take now, America was built off of what's going on, unfortunately.
It is.
So
that's that.
And that's just my opinion.
It's true.
Yeah.
I agree with that, because if we don't protest, it's almost like, I'm gonna get back to if we don't protest, but it's almost like if somebody does something to you you don't like, you can't stand it. Oh, you can't stand it, but you don't say nothing. How's the person to know that you didn't like it? They're gonna keep doing it, right?
Right.
So that's where this protesting, we're tired of sitting quietly. I mean, I don't understand for the life of me, and I have the hardest time wrapping my mind around this, how with Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem, how in the devil was that offensive and such a wrong act? A lot of white people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. How in the world is that hurtful? How? He didn't,
because of their forefathers. Nobody saw what was happening.
I cannot wrap my mind around that to save my life. He didn't make a scene. He got down on one knee, took his hat off. Like, I really, and so now, okay.
Now we get it.
Peacefully, but now you get it? It took for this to happen for you to get it?
What happened during that time? I can't even remember what happened. Was that the Trayvon Martin thing?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I believe that's, but it was so calm and it was so delicate and so respectful. But because he didn't pledge to their flag, because that's not our flag. I'm just going to call it what it is.
Yeah.
That is not our flag. So because he didn't pledge to their flag, they have a big issue with it. I mean, now they're like, oh, I get it. You know, I was one of those who, you know, I would see people post things like, I was one that, you know, had an issue with, but why? Why?
He was just stating that, you know, even though because, you know, he was a star athlete, you know, he enjoys living in America, but there are times where the USA doesn't like him.
Right. There's a lot of times, more than some.
Yes.
More than
so that's
some.
what he was saying, and yeah, it got all out of hand, and now it took, unfortunately, you know, the whole George Floyd, it took that to happen.
How many years later?
Right. And then the thing is, you know, with that situation we were just talking about, it was like one of those, oh, was he really what was the kid doing? And unfortunately, a child lost his life. But now with the gentleman that just, you know, passed away, that was basically done on national TV, you can just say, because somebody had their phone, they recorded it,
right?
And it went viral.
He didn't just pass away; he was killed. Let's call it like it is.
Right.
He didn't just pass away.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, well, the guy that was just murdered. Yeah.
He was suffocated.
Yeah.
I believe in just calling things like it is.
Yeah, very true.
Especially in this day and age, because so many times people are sugarcoating what
trying to be politically correct.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. Yeah, no politically correct on my show.
Right.
We call it how it is.
All right, I like it. The realness.
Yes. Because I mean that's the problem. Like, everyone wants us to be politically correct, and they want us to refrain from saying certain things, and then they tell us, oh, well, you're entitled to voice your opinion on platforms and things of that nature, but if you have a business, you need to take into consideration the fact that your business has your name attached to it. So basically, you're telling me that if I have a business, I can't speak my mind. I mean, if me speaking my mind is a problem because I have a business, then I don't need your support anyway, because I don't want anyone supporting me who wants me to shut my mouth.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've been quiet for a long time, and now is not the time.
Yes.
Not the time, just saying. So I think we had a really, really good discussion. This was absolutely awesome. I love the topic. I love the dialogue. And it was needed. It really was needed. A lot of people, especially in this time, they struggle with faith and with fear. Like, a lot of people are fearful. We still dealing with this COVID-19 thing. People are fearful to mingle.
And can I admit something?
Yeah.
Before we end, like you said in the very beginning, feeding your faith is not the easiest thing, because for some reason, our minds are just so it's just comfortable with, if we allow it to default into the negativity.
Right.
So I want to say though, due to this COVID-19, it gave me another push in feeding that faith.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
I'm going all in. I'm being stronger. I'm focusing only on you. I'm seeking, because to be honest, when you just like really leave things in his hand and like seek, I'm gonna say it, seek God,
Right. Yeah.
When you just seek God, all things around you, like nothing can't touch you.
Right.
Like, can't touch this,
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and it's become stronger since. Because before I might have still been like, oh my God, but now it's just like, I don't have the time or the energy for this negativity. I'm not entertaining this energy, is what I call it. I'm not going to entertain it.
That's what it is. It's energy.
And so it feeding that faith does pull you out of that comfort zone, as you mentioned, but it's the best uncomfortable feeling ever.
Right.
So I just wanted to admit that it's not easy. I've just gotten stronger in the faith game, but I love it.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that either. A lot of people, including myself, has had to sit back and reflect on decisions that they've made, moves they've made, and how they can do better. And my hope and my prayer is that people would come out of COVID-19 stronger, wiser, and more of a go-getter and a hard pusher versus, all the negativity. And the fact that we're protesting right now and we're using the voices that God gave us and not allowing people to silence us anymore, that in itself says a lot. That in itself says a lot. I believe that, this minus the rioting and the looting, the protesting and the different moves, it's going to force us to come together. And I'm praying that we will, because I have a hard time, like it's certain movies that I have a hard time watching just because it just puts me in that mindset of like a box of how Black people are looked at and how they feel stuck in that and not wanting to get out. And I don't like that a lot of the movies that are like that, like the gang banging movies and those type of movies. I mean, I know that happens, in our community, but I don't like that to be how people solely look at us. Right. If that makes sense.
And it happens in every community, but for some reason the focus is on the Blacks.
The Black people. Exactly. And that's the part that hurts my heart. I have a hard time watching movies like that because in my mind I'm like, we're better than that. Right. We are so much like better.
That's not Black America.
That is not. We're so much better than that. What about the doctors and lawyers and the people that, work hard to make things great and make our nation better? Like, why not focus on those things?
Right.
Why only focus? Right. With small businesses that are thriving, So I just want to close out and say that, anyone who's fearful in this time, anyone who is struggling with overcoming any type of fear they may have, whether it's speaking up, starting a business, trying that new outfit on or trying that new fitness program, whatever your fear may be, my prayer for you is that you will do that thing that your heart really wants to do, and don't let fear drive you.
Right.
Don't let fear drive you. Do you have any closing remarks you like to give?
I think you just said it. Just continue starving that fear. And it's not easy, like we mentioned. Like, if you look at the news, or if you have to look at the news, or you're for some reason, always around negativity, start separating yourself. Separating yourself is a form of starving the fear. Exactly. When you separate yourself from that fear, separation is a form of feeding into that faith. Yes. Believing that there is more hope. Whatever you can condition the mind, the body, and the soul, whatever you just can condition yourself to believe in is how your life will start to manifest into, if that makes sense.
It does. It really does. And I really, really thank you for coming on and being a guest today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, of course. Of course. Like we say, we got to support each other, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I thank you so, so much. And for all of my listeners out there, watchers, whatever it is, I want to say thank you so, so much for your support. And I hope and pray that this episode was a blessing to you and that you got something out of it. But until next time, Chiquita Nicole Speaks is out.